Now, it was funny watching Spurs crumble at Newcastle, and as much as you wanted to laugh, you then realised that we play them on Sunday. So, Steve, you've made this point many a time. Even when we were playing all right and doing well, we never used to win at Newcastle. This is going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, it is. But by the same token, I mean, there is surely no way on God's green earth that we could possibly be as bad as Spurs were in those first 25 minutes today. I mean, genuinely, I don't think I've seen a Premier League team, let alone one that's got designs of being in the Champions League. Just any Premier League team, just fart out that sort of level of performance. It was just pathetic, absolutely pathetic from start to finish. I mean, they've obviously conceded 5 goals in 21 minutes. And then they've decided that the solution to this problem is to bring on the guy that the entire home fan base a week ago were booing to the rafters. Absolute insanity that of what's going on at Tottenham at the moment. So yeah, I mean we'll go to Newcastle with a plan similar, I would imagine, similar to what we had on Friday night.
Yeah.
Newcastle are a largely attack-minded team these days. They're not the sort of Steve Bruce bore everyone into submission types. They will fancy their chances against us, and they will come at us, and that gives us the space to hopefully do what we did again on Friday night, and hope that we can be equally as economical with our finishing.
I mean, Eddie Howe, Glen, would love to stick the final nail in the coffin, but is it about taking those positives from the Arsenal game into this one and just channeling what worked really well?
Yeah, well, the main positive to take from the Arsenal game and the other games that we've done all right against the big teams this year is that we needn't go to Newcastle fearing them just because they're third in the league or wherever they are. You know, we can go up there and give them a game if they give us space, which they probably will, flying forward. You know, I mean, I thought the second leg of the Carabao Cup game, I thought, you know, we looked okay in patches and that. It's just that we had a dreadful start and we were already out of the game. But we looked half decent up there then. So hopefully the players can sort of like take the positives from that and the Arsenal performance and think there's no reason why we can't get something out of this. But I mean, at the end of the day, Newcastle are where they are for a reason, and they're closing in on a Champions League spot. So having won 6-1 today, they're not exactly going to be taking it easy next week. So it's a very difficult game, and you know, we all know how Eddie Howe's teams are going to set up. I mean, I think they're better than they were earlier on in the season. With they've got Isak seems to be in the team now, and he's a better player than Callum Wilson. Gives you all sorts of different problems. So, and obviously Bruno's back after his red card now. So, yeah, and their defence is very, very good. So, you know, we've got to hopefully do what we did to Arsenal, as Steve said. But I mean, their defence is light years better than Arsenal's. So it is going to be tough. But I fancy a kind of low scoring game in this one. But hopefully we can get something out of it. But it won't matter a damn thing if we don't beat Bournemouth on Thursday.
No, it's a long old trip for you as well, Jacob. Does it all depend on how Thursday goes? Because it is, you know, relatively speaking, it's a quick turnaround. I mean, personally, I don't want to see any players rested. They can rest in the summer all they like. But it will depend largely, I guess, on Thursday and maybe who comes in, who does well, and maybe trying to carry a bit of momentum if Thursday goes all right.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. If Southampton win, you stick with the team, and if they don't, then Saints probably down, and you can just play what you want, really. I think Shea Adams could be back potentially for that Newcastle game, so that could give you something. Obviously, I think we've started to realise throughout the course of the season that Shea Adams is still Southampton's best striker.
We've missed him. Yeah.
Yep, still the most important. He misses a lot of chances, but he creates a lot. He works, you know, his backside off, and when he's not there, you start to feel him. I think Southampton got absolutely battered in that first 20 minutes at St James's Park through switch to play, through that 5 at the back, if I remember, with Walker-Peters left wing back and Oh, it was horrible to watch. And then once they changed to a back four, Southampton started to get into it. Lavia started to have a bit more control in it. And I think the key for Southampton is to stop Bruno playing through midfield. And if you can stop Bruno, you've got to make sure Charlie Alcaraz is actually doing his job defensively. So we need to watch out and see if Ruben does stick with Charlie Alcaraz in that game. But I think it will be low scoring, like Glenn says. But I'd probably say Newcastle just have enough.
Okay, Glenn, score prediction from you, please.
What
What does that low-scoring game look like?
Like I say, it all depends on the Thursday game. So let's assume we win on Thursday, and we'll go to Newcastle, and I reckon it could be a 0-0.
Okay, which in
Clean sheet.
yeah, decent. Steve,
It's almost as mad as your 3-0 prediction.
Yeah, I mean, a 0-0 would be great and it'd be particularly satisfying as well if we went up and earned a 0-0 by doing Eddie Howe things. Of just because I mean, oh yeah, massively. It would be
You really don't like him, do you?
He's a prick. Just look at his face,
Alex.
Just one of those faces that you would absolutely love to punch.
you set him off now, Glenn. You set him off.
God. I still suspect we'll probably get beat because, as mentioned, we've been good in the past and still gone up there and got beat. So yeah, probably 2-0 Newcastle.
2, right. And Jacob, your longest trip of the season?
Yeah, I think, contrary to Steve, I think Eddie Howe's a wonderful manager and could have been Southampton's manager had Ralph been sacked a year or so earlier. And I wonder what Steve's reaction would have been then. I think Southampton need to be actually quite a bit more subtle with their time wasting, because I don't know how Gavin Bazunu escaped a yellow card the other night. But anyway, I think Southampton will go there, give it a go. I think they'll be attacking threat, but they'll ultimately lose 2-1.